Well, according to the YouTube stats provided to content creators, a number of you are viewers of another YouTube channel called Ed's Auto Reviews. I actually came across Ed's channel back when a video he produced on Malays vehicles was published, and I've been a fan of the channel ever since. I think he does an absolutely spectacular job with his videos and his editing, and frankly, I'm quite envious. In any case, Ed also came across my channel back when I had about 5,000 subscribers and found it extremely interesting, particularly given that I could speak to these vehicles from an ownership perspective, unlike others on YouTube. So when he came to the US a few weeks ago, Edward and I decided to get together and have a general chit-chat/interview sit down with one another. And I think you'll find that he's just as genuine and a nice person as he comes across in the videos that he creates. So stay tuned and listen to this interview and talk amongst ourselves about how we both got started and learn a little bit more about Edward as well as myself. And be sure to check out Ed's channel called Ed's Auto Reviews. He's now past 100,000 subscribers, but when we sat down, he had not yet met that milestone. So a hearty congratulations to Edward on his accomplishments. I hope you enjoy this crossover episode just as much, if not even more than one from Magnum P.I. and Murder, She Wrote or Dallas and Knots Landing. Let's listen in.
Hello and welcome to this collaboration that you did not ask for but desperately need. Today I'm joined with
Adam of Rare Classic Cars and Automotive History.
And my name is Edward from Ed's Auto Reviews, and welcome to this, well, I guess just a little interview that goes deep into, well, maybe more the YouTube side of things, since we both are YouTubers, and also our shared love for and passion for cars.
We're very famous, right?
Yeah, sure.
In our own minds, at least.
Add it up and we're at what, 160,000 subscribers?
There you go.
That makes us probably the largest automotive history channel on all of YouTube. So
good enough.
Yeah. Let me just start with the very first question, because what is the very first video you watched on my channel, or how do you know me?
Oh my goodness. Well, I've watched a lot of the videos. I think what was nice is at some point the YouTube algorithm recommended your channel, and I don't even remember. I mean, you had I've watched so many of them. Everything from the Malays era, you've talked about some Cadillacs as well, some historic Cadillacs. So I don't remember what was the first one, but I think what was really nice about the videos when I saw the first one was that it wasn't, you could tell it was somebody who was very passionate about the subject matter. And I found the videos to be really well done, well edited, and I was very envious. So for those who are viewers of my channel, it's the exact opposite of what, I thought, gosh, this guy really knows how to put together a video that looks great and has great content. And I also liked how you spliced in some of the content of old videos and really set the stage of the time of what was happening when all these vehicles were being produced. So I honestly don't remember what the first one was, but I know that
just gradually
I gradually got immersed into it, and I thought, yeah, you do a really nice job.
Well, thank you. Well, for me, it's a bit more clear because I just started to take an interest in like the personal luxury cars, and especially the Lincoln Continental Mark III parked right behind us. And so I looked for videos. You have plenty of owners that make videos. And then I saw your video, and I believe that is the very first video you made on your channel. That's like the review of your...
It might be. I don't even remember. I think you may be right. It's been a while now, but I think that's correct.
And the thing is, and don't get me wrong, but I saw the video and I thought, okay, here's just another owner in some suburb, and he has this nice car. But when you did that review, I could already tell that you tell these details that only someone can tell from experience of owning the car. And that is kind of what stuck with me. And I saw your channel passing by every once in a while, and I believe I started watching when you had like 5,000 subscribers.
Oh, so you were an early adopter, I guess.
Somewhat of an early bird, yeah. And then from there on out, I kept on watching, especially your designer series, with the with the designers from the cars from the 1980s and 1990s. I think are absolutely wonderful.
Well, thank you.
And I really enjoy those episodes.
Well, yeah, I've known some of those people for some time, and I think it's a piece of history that often doesn't get talked about. And it's funny because even some of the designers who come on and talk about the vehicles, particularly those who are talking about the 80s era vehicles, I don't think their friends always like the fact that they're talking about them. They're kind of embarrassed by it. John is an example talking about the Cimarron, among some of the other vehicles, the 86 EK cars. But I think he and I both are just of the opinion, it's automotive history. Whether you like it or not, it's part of the history, and it needs to be told. And so thankfully, he's willing to put up with, I think, some of the little jabs he gets. John, you did the Cimarron. But as you learn in the video, I don't blame him, and I don't blame the designers, and I don't think there's any one particular party to blame. It's a collective decision that was made. But when your design brief is, go take a Chevrolet, turn it into a Cadillac, and you get to change the wheels, the grille, and the taillights.
What do you want? What do you expect? Yeah.
What do you
really,
expect?
You can almost see on their faces that I don't like this either, this exercise. I need to do this, but yeah.
and I think he talks specifically about how he made up for it in the end by the second generation CTS, coupe sedan wagon, which I think people would say are some of the best modern Cadillacs that have been done, far outside of the mold of what he started on. So I think that's what, it's fun for me too, because I get to learn about those times.
Well, for me, it's also just talking about car history. I already have an interest in general history. Some people are interested in planes, others in plants or birds. Everybody has their own thing, and for me, it's cars. But for me, it's also, and this sounds very weird for someone that's 25 years old, but especially cars from the 50s and the 60s, it's just a way to escape and just go to another time when the designers had a lot more fun designing the cars and had a little less restrictions to design these cars.
I think you're right. I mean, there's so many different challenges now. And a lot of people say, well, can't they make something like that again? And really, they can't.
They would love to.
They'd love to, but you can't. You can't have hood ornaments, and you can't have wind split moldings. You can't have pointy front ends. I mean, now everything is so designed for aerodynamics, for crash standards, for pedestrian impact standards, that always dictates, all cars now have this kind of plan view tapering off to the side so the airflow is well managed around it. The car behind us, that was not even a remote consideration, airflow management. I mean, that thing is all of a brick pushing through the wind, right? So the considerations are very different, and, for better or worse, you can't really do that. You can't have, this car has no B-pillar on the side, so with the rollover standards that are in place now, you can't do that. The crash standards, I mean, my wife, I always joke with her that there's no airbag in the car, and sometimes she reaches for the shoulder belt. I say, you do see the 6 feet of hood and the 6 feet of trunk. That's your airbag. Now you don't quite have that. So
it's quite the same if, like, a police officer pulls you to the side of the road and say, hey, you weren't wearing your seat belt.
Yes.
And then you just say to him, well, have you seen the car? Will that really save me?
That's true. Well, and I have some that don't have seat belts either. Yeah. So no, I don't have my seat belts.
You've seen this steering wheel? That will be imprinted right here.
It will. It will, for sure.
But I don't know if, many of your viewers know, but you have quite the massive car collection. About, what was it again?
Well, I like to keep it a little bit of a mystery for the viewers, but we'll say that it's, over 35, less than 100. So somewhere in that range. You haven't seen all of them yet, and it's always, truthfully, the number is always changing.
Yeah, of course. And I absolutely love it because it's right in the same category as I like the cars, especially the cars from the 60s and the 70s. But what I'd like to know is, do you also own your all-time favorite car? Or what is your all-time favorite car? And that can be anything from, some one-off Rolls Royce to...
Boy.
Well, let's say something else.
I mean, I don't own any of them, but I'll call them the true classic vehicles, the Duesenbergs, the Packards.
Okay. Yeah.
I would love to own a V16 Cadillac or, like a 36 Packard convertible. Some of those Duesenbergs will never be in my affordability bracket.
Sure, but if money is also no
If money were
object,
no object, yeah, I'd love to have that, or a Darren-bodied Packard, or, interestingly, some of those 30s era cars, not the Duesenbergs, are starting to come down in price to the point where they're becoming more affordable, but not yet affordable. The only my wife would love it if I were, actually she'd love it if I got one of those.
I can already see the twinkle in your eyes.
So yeah, the problem though with them is they're beautiful to look at, but to drive on modern roads, they're work. I mean, manual steering, manual brakes,
unsynchronized
transmissions,
yeah, double clutch.
So, with how fast people drive on the roads today, it's a little tough. So the nice thing about these vehicles is they're that perfect blend of, can I go 85 miles an hour, or on the freeway, 120 kilometers an hour, 100, and no issue. And I have air conditioning, power steering, power brakes. So to me, they're kind of that sweet spot. And of the vehicles that I want to own in that sweet spot, I think the one that I was searching for the longest time was a 67 Eldorado, which a YouTube viewer just sent me and I bought. This black one.
Really? Just bought it?
Just bought it. Yeah, I've
Okay.
actually got to the point where YouTube viewers are sending me cars to buy, and I've bought two off of their recommendation. One was a car that I was looking for, a no vinyl roof, dark colored 67 Eldorado. And so a viewer sent me the perfect one with 18,000 miles, and you just don't turn a car down like that.
Nah.
So that was one. I'm still looking for a 66 Tornado. But that would be the other one that I don't yet have.
That's also, oh man, I also love the Tornado. Tornado.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Cimarron, I also made that mistake. I'm not going to do it again. But now when it comes to the unobtainable dream cars, I'm kind of in the same spot. I think some of the most beautiful cars ever made are from the 1930s, especially those custom coach work.
Yes.
And I would kind of more move towards the French cars, so the Delahaye's and the Delages. I think those kind of like those teardrop shaped cars on wheels.
Tabulagos and things like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think those are absolutely the most beautiful cars.
Well, why would
ever
you
made.
want? You just need one of the Rivieras, like with the sweep spear. That was the Delahaye Q. But no, those are beautiful, beautiful vehicles. I can't argue with that. I mean, I'd love to have it.
What you just said, they're beautiful to look at, but they're not like the greatest cars to drive. It requires a lot of effort, and I have kind of like the same thing with 50s cars because I really like 50s cars. I would not pass up a 57 DeSoto, for instance.
Oh no, me neither.
In good condition, they still drive absolutely well. But thanks to your videos, I noticed that American cars from more like the mid 60s to late 60s are a bit more mature when it comes to the driving characteristics. Maybe even already a bit less, floaty and boaty. Like, I might not be correct on this, but
I mean, I think what I would say is by the time you get to the late 60s, you have relatively modern braking systems.
Yeah.
Relatively, still not much steering effort, but good power steering systems, good acceleration, and power. Very refined cabins and seating. They're starting to be engineered for crash standards as well. When you go back to the 50s and before that, you're in a world of beautiful vehicles in some cases, but they're harder to drive, and they don't drive. I would not. Maybe the 57 DeSoto and the Chrysler cars are an exception, but they don't drive quite as well. It is interesting though, the Chrysler vehicles, like you mentioned, the DeSotos, especially after 1957 when they came out with the torsion bar front suspension, the torsion air ride, they are not overly soft. They're actually pretty firm riding cars.
Sporty,
which seems odd to say about a full-size car, but when you drive a Ford of the same year and then you drive a Chrysler back to back, the Chrysler is much more sporty. The Ford is much more nautical, and
you can really feel the difference.
You feel absolutely, and the GM is right in the middle.
Okay.
That's the best way I can describe it. So if you want sport, go Chrysler. If you want floaty boat, go Ford. If you want in the middle, go GM.
Well, that brings me to what is my somewhat affordable dream car.
Oh.
And that is the 1960 Cadillac. Not any particular model or whether it's a convertible or anything, but 1960 Cadillac. Because that's what the 59 should have been. I think.
So you don't like the super tall fin. You
No,
like
even I think, and I'm a fin lover. I think that's a bit over the top with the bullet, the double bullet
Yes.
tail lights, and because I think the fins of the 60 are just a masterpiece. Just they were designed in '59 to have that kind of that wraparound, a sleek tail light, and I think it has a bit less chrome on it, and it's just a bit more understated, and I think that's just a bit more refined.
I think
Although-
even the designer of that car would agree with you. That car was done by a gentleman named Dave Holes, who also did the 59. I think he did the 58 as well. But that 59 was kind of the supreme development of the fin, you know, very over the top. And the 60 does have a really beautiful proportion to it. The overall car does. And the 61, even the fin height is about the same. Obviously, the car was similar but different.
Yeah.
But I think the 60s, I mean, it's hard to argue that that's a bad looking.
I was just about to say, would you pick the 59 or the 60?
You know, as much as I love the 59 and the 60, I think I would probably pick the 60 personally, and I'd pick the Fleetwood. You know,
Okay.
I like kind of the extra doodads on the side, even though it's a little over the top, and the over the top interior. But I love how Cadillac kind of evolved from that to that razor sharp crease in the pants type styling, and that's what I most identify with. The 60, even as beautiful as it, I'd love to own one. It's a little round and kind of doughy when you compare it to like a 67 Eldorado that just looks very taut and
Sharp, hard angles, yeah.
So just my personal aesthetic. I think they're both masterpieces. So
I do too. Yeah, yeah.
I take them both.
Yeah. If possible, just take them both.
Sure.
Yeah. So I was wondering, just an entirely different question,
Sure.
but are you a YouTuber? Are you day in, day out doing this?
No,
Or, okay.
not even close.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just a weekend, you know, vacation time type hobby that I started in between jobs. But no, it's by no means. I mean, for those who watch my videos, and I'm sitting next to somebody whom I feel is a master of video editing. My videos are usually single take, maybe one cut, and that's just for expediency more than anything. You know, just because I don't have a lot of time. This is something that's, you know, I've got a few hours here on the weekend.
Just quickly
Squeak
grab a
something
shot.
in.
Yeah.
And I think the nice thing is I've been collecting for so many years, and cars have been my passion for so many years, that if I have to talk about something, I don't have to generally go and read up on it and do all this. It's just kind of unfortunately stuck up here.
Tell me about
right?
it, yeah.
Now, not everything. If you ask me to talk about Delahaye's, or
Sure.
you go further astray from American cars from 1955 through the 90s, I'm kind of out of, I know a little bit, but I can't talk for minutes and minutes. You want me to talk about a Mark III or Mark IV, I can talk for minutes on end about that, no problem. So,
And what inspired you? What made you start with the YouTube channel? I mean, you wake up someday and think, I'm just going to do it.
I thought,
Why
you
not?
know, yeah, I was in between jobs. I purposely took a little bit of time off, which was, it's one of the rare times where you get to kind of relax, truthfully, in between jobs. And I thought, you know, I was kind of sitting around after a few weeks and getting a little bored. And I thought, well, hey, I noticed these other car channels and they're good. This was before I had come across yours, you know, so it was some other more popular folks, shall we say, who were starting to venture into the classic space. And I felt something was missing there that I had to offer, that,
Okay.
you know, it was been my passion for some time, and I've owned a lot of these cars, so I could speak about it from an ownership perspective.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'll give it a try, see if anybody's interested. At worst case scenario, I lost an hour of my time, and that's it.
Yeah.
I didn't buy any equipment. It was all on my iPhone. I didn't even have a microphone in the early ones, so you get the wind noise and all that. And I just thought, well, I'll try it. And it turned out, you know, now, of course, I look back on those videos and I'm embarrassed by...
I have the same thing. I have not watched my very first Automotive History Series
Right.
episode because, frankly, I'm embarrassed. This is not how I would do it. If I would do it again, completely different. But, and did you expect to be where you're currently at? Because in talking of size, subscriber
No.
size, if that's the measurement.
No, not
No,
even
you
close.
okay.
No, I anticipated, I thought it would be something where I have friends who love cars kind of internationally. So some in Brazil, some just from, where my job has taken me overseas. And I thought that'd be kind of fun to just put something together to share with them. Because they're big car enthusiasts, but they don't get to see this stuff.
Okay.
And that was the motivation. I never thought that I would have, I don't even think 1,000 subscribers. I thought it was just going to be a link that I sent to my friends.
And just be done with it.
And be done with it. And I thought, well, if I pick up a few viewers along the way, and I also thought, well, maybe it's a way I can make these videos to find parts for these cars.
Oh, so there is also a
Yes.
reason
Yes.
behind it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for part 2. You can click the link below to view that. And also click the link at top left to check out Ed's Auto Reviews, Edward's channel. Hope to see you in part 2.